What's the worst date you've ever been on, Liam?
I did a little. I don't have any money, so I asked the girl if she wanted to go on a walk, which is a good move. And she just started talking to these skaters I was telling you, and yeah, it was for a long enough period of time where it felt like you said, was this a test or is this
intentional?
And so
either way, you're coming up bad.
Yeah, and I'm not kidding. 10 minutes into us walking around, she saw a group of fashionable young men and said, "Oh, I love their clothes. I want to go talk to them." She was a fashion girl, so it makes sense. And then she started talking to them for so long that I left.
Well, here's the red flag. She's a workaholic. Aside from the, it's like,
no, she just sounds like a horny idiot who is just like.
I was trying to be nice.
Imagine if you were on a date with a man and then he goes, "Sorry, I just the hostess at the restaurant. I just I just want to talk to this 20-year-old hostess at the restaurant, just like about because I'm in the restaurant business and just all that stuff, like because I'm just really I'm sorry, I'm always on the clock."
I'm gonna stop you right there and go talk to this woman. Yeah.
Imagine. Well, I think that brings up a good point. Like when somebody does something intentionally or non-intentionally, it's like what is that William Blake quote? He says, "The path to hell.
Oh, the road to hell
is paved with good intentions." We got there.
Yeah,
we got there. But that's the thing. It's like, do you ever just like forfeit a relationship, whether it be romantic or platonic, because you're like, this person doesn't even realize how they wronged me, and to me, it's like, if you're a good friend of mine and like, or I care about this like relationship in any way, shape, or form, and like something bad happened, be like, "Hey man, that really bummed me out," or whatever. But if not, when I'm like, that person, if I told them that, they'd be like, "No, I don't see it that way." Then I'm like, I'm just not going to say anything, and I'm just going to kind of do, I call it a soft fade. You just fade. Yeah, you do
that Simpsons meme where Homer's just like fading into the bushes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like, I don't think intentions really mean shit.
I feel you, dude.
Like you said, either this girl is like just was testing you, which is a weird, shitty thing to do on a first date for no reason, or she's just really that mindlessly rude. And either way, like, it doesn't matter what the intention is if the action was shitty. And also, people have told me, because I'm perfect at relationships and I've never ruined any of them, I have definitely unintentionally hurt people. And when they call me out on it, I try not to just be like, "Oh, I meant well." And also shake your titties.
Yeah.
But,
I'm so
sorry. It's also
sorry.
the AC's broken, and I'm gonna be a melted.
No, you look like people in New York when they're about to take the subway, like in summertime in New York, and everyone's just like wet, and they're like, "Oh fuck, I'm all wet."
I was like, I was like, let me just see if I can keep this flannel shirt on.
No, don't do that to yourself.
I think the important thing is when you call someone out on something they did that was hurtful and they didn't mean to, are they like, do they accept, "Oh shit, I didn't even think of that. I didn't mean it that way, but I'm so sorry that I did that." Or do they get, "Well, I didn't mean it that way. Oh, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's just like shows maturity. I mean, I've accidentally hurt so many men.
So many.
I've accidentally hurt a lot of dudes' hearts, but just been like, "Sorry, dude, kind of just over it. Oh, you liked me a lot? My bad. Anyway, I really don't even want to talk to you ever again." Yeah, no, I know we were fucking for like a year. Kind of done with just knowing you.
That's just a breakup. That's just a breakup. That's just a normal breakup. Do you say it in that voice specifically?
Yeah. Hey, listen. Look, this ain't working anymore. Just I fire them like the way that
you get fired on Pawn Stars or something.
Yeah, or like what's his name in The Boss in Office Space. I'm like, you're gonna need to get your toothbrush out of my bathroom because you're gone.
I do. I guess I gotta, when I gotta break it up, it's more of a godfather. Like, "You come into my apartment.
Yeah.
You leave the toilet seat up in my apartment. You have the audacity to call my mother on her birthday, and then you don't want to commit to me. I gotta let you go."
He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, boss. I'm sorry.
I want your badge and your weapon on my desk in the morning." And it's like an IUD and
it's a dildo and a fucking debit card.
Yeah. It's his Amex and the reusable condom. There's no such thing as reusable condoms, by the way.
Reusable condom.
You just kind of flip it inside out and use it again.
Eco-friendly. Eco-friendly, okay?
Jeez.
I know you're young, but it's true. You can reuse condoms. Just
I don't believe
flip it inside out. Just
Flip it
inside out.
Well, I have a question for you that's kind of on the subject of this, but
Get comfy.
where can you find emotionally available people?
This is the corny real answer. Like anywhere, but you just have to be emotionally available first. I did this I hate when I was in this pattern of I'm just attracting all these emotionally unavailable guys. Then I had to admit that I'm like, oh, it's me. Like I'm emotionally unavailable. I ultimately don't really want to be in a relationship, and I'm scared to admit it, and so I'm gonna blame it on
It's a fake try.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a fake try. It's like, no, dude, I'm dating. It's just not really working out.
Yeah. And then it was just taking up too much time. And I know people be like, oh, well, guys in LA are so shallow. It's just like a big, that may be true, but I've also just like lived here my whole life. So I don't know. It's not like a place you go. There's not like a hut labeled emotionally available people that they just kind of like fall out of. It's really like, I think it's that horrible catch-22 of like, once you stop looking, it'll happen. But you can't not look with the intention of like looking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. No, it's like it's like being Zen. It's like we're always trying to chase a proverbial carrot, but we'll never get there. But the pursuit of such is it's like the method of living. Like that's what it is actually the entire time. Is like that buoys your entire kind of like spirit in existence. But it's so fucking hard. Like people are like, how do you find, like I've had multiple like boyfriends and everything, and like I've been in like a number of good relationships. Be like,
So like, but you're just so lucky.
and I'm like, dude, I'm like mentally ill. Like I'm fucking
Yeah,
absolutely
you can totally
insane,
be
dude.
a shitty lady and have a great relationship. Not saying
Yeah,
that.
dude.
I mean, I'm saying that for me, not.
No, I mean, I've like, sometimes I realize in a relationship, I'm like, damn, I'm the toxic one. I'm like, damn, I thought I was like the victim. And I was like, oh, I'm like bad. Like, I'm being like manipulative right now. I'm like, holy shit. Oops.
Yeah.
That's such
the
a great
worst.
first step. I mean, it's there's no where. The where is right here. I mean, personally, sorry, I'm from East LA, so I'll cut to the bag.
Pero
Personally, you know, I've had some really lovely long relationships, and then I was kind of in and out some shorter ones recently, and like, oh, what's the problem? Blah, blah, blah. And the first step to breaking that pattern was I just had to admit to myself, I'm like, I actually just don't want to be in a relationship right now. And I keep like not even admitting that to myself by dating emotionally unavailable people. And then it just becomes this thing to complain about.
why do you think that, I don't know if men feel this way. Maybe Liam, you can shine a light on this. And I don't know if this is more like,
I like it.
Get ready
just
to shine a light on this.
like this is like a woman's plight, but it does feel like women are kind of burdened with this responsibility of like,
You're either in a relationship, and if you are successful, and if you're not, you better be looking for one.
but like at this.
Oh,
I
no
think it's
one
very
believes a
threatening.
woman when she says she's like
Happy by
happily
herself.
single or she's not looking for. I know this from experience.
Yes.
they're
There's
like,
a-
well, you're gonna want to find somebody.
Yeah.
Or they just don't believe it. They're like, oh, that's nice.
That's so lovely that you
That's
can
so
tell yourself
cute.
that.
That's so sweet.
And honestly, self-love is great.
It's
And it's
like-
going to actually be an attribute that's going to
So
get a man attracted to you. So good on you.
Because when I met Stussy or Breisler, you know, like I told myself I wasn't looking either, but it was really like the guy I heard the cry of my heart. What? Oh my God, Breisler, I'm so sorry. Okay, I gotta go.
Who are you talking to?
No one. I gotta go. Okay. I get sourdough starter is getting bad. Bye. But this is the fucked up actual magic of it. As I admitted to myself, I'm like, I don't want to be in a relationship right now. And it made things it gave me so much more free time to not be in relationships that I didn't want.
You still banging? Yeah. It
No,
makes
and
it
then I took a
easier.
break from banging too.
Oof, I've never done that.
It's I never had either, but here's like the weird voodoo of it all. And then I think I was doing that for a while, and then just recently I finally allowed myself to admit that like, oh, I think I do want to be in a relationship shortly. I don't know when. Just like able to say that like, yeah, I'm ready. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And so I'm like, well, I don't want to, where do I find emotionally available people? And I was like, well, maybe I'm just going to clean house first. So I just kind of cut off all of my situationships. Mm-hmm. That's the first
So
step.
are you clean now? Are you like,
I'm clean
as they say in Scientology, are you clear?
I'm clear.
You're clear.
But then this has literally just been something I've been doing over the past few months. And then, like I said, just this weekend, I'm at, like, a guy asked for my number at a coffee shop. Like, it's the fucking 19th century.
That's cool, dude.
It's nice.
As opposed to what? What else? Instagram?
I don't know how people...
DMing you on Instagram being like, let me see your pussy.
I guess it was literally...
And you're like, okay.
It was just literally that
Right,
thing where I stopped looking, but even just admitting that, like, that's something I wanted to be open to sort of makes things fall into place. I mean, we talked on the phone. We're going to go out soon. It's not even like, oh, yeah, no, this is the guy. He fell into my lap. But it's like, oh, it just becomes so much easier when you admit what you want and you're open to it. And that's being emotionally available. Not like, what do I find?
Or thinking that you should want somebody when you're actually not really ready. And that's just like being in tune with yourself. Question for you.
Yes.
So do you find that like, do you find that like men need to like, I mean, you're single. Do you feel like do people like pressure like, well, you're going to find a girlfriend? Or is it, do you feel like there is a double standard with men and women when it comes to like partnership shit?
Yeah, there definitely is. Nobody pressures me to getting a girlfriend except for like my grandmother. Is like, is there any special someone? I'm like, no, that's not.
Life expectancy is much different these days. I'm what, you're 23?
Mm-hmm. I'm looking for other emotionally unavailable women to...
Mm-hmm. If anything, you're at an age where like you need them to also be emotionally unavailable, because then that's going to make it like easier for both of you to like have sex and be chill about it.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst when like I've had definitely guys... it's weird. This is more rare, but I've had a guy try to like girlfriend me, because I get like objectified in a manic pixie dream girl way, where they don't even know me, but they like the idea of dating me. They're like, oh, like it would be cool.
You've got
if
a
I
wacky top and a whole thing going.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, she'd be like dating. It'd be like dating Winona Ryder. You know what I mean, or something like. They think it would be this like, they also think it'd be a badge of cool. So it's like they're not even falling for me. They're not even like, oh, I really like her.
They're just fucking with the brand.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like literally they want to be like sponsored by the brand. And that's pretty much like, there was a dude that I dated a bit ago. This was so fucking weird, man. We like barely had sex. Like I'm a very horny person and I like to fuck a lot, like sometimes more than once a day. And so he was just like that wasn't, and look, like not everyone, people have completely different libidos, and I totally respect that, and you got to actually find somebody that matches your libido
matches
enough that like
we're gonna be perfectly on the same page.
No, but you need to make sure that you're not like craving sex significantly more than the other person, because that's going to make you, that over time is going to degrade your relationship. It's going to make you feel like nobody in a relationship should consistently feel like they're yearning for something. And especially like, I mean, I think as a woman, like historically we like to be like sought after, that if a man isn't like doing that physically in some ways, like, or if you feel like you're the aggressor in that way, like, I mean, I and again, this is just personal. I just am like, I don't want to be like that. I want a guy to always be like, look, let's fuck now.
I'm like, stop, we have to go. We're gonna be late to your grandmother's funeral.
Stop, I'm doing the dishes. God.
You better not fuck me in the ass while I'm doing dishes, you naughty little.
You better not do exactly that. That I've just outlined step by step.
But like this guy that I was like seeing a bit ago, yeah, he just wanted me as a girlfriend, but we barely had sex. And we weren't really that physical, but he would want to hang out like every day. He just wanted to like come over and hang out with me.
That's a guy that has like a split that, the Madonna horror complex of like, well, if someone I'm intimate with emotionally, they can't see them as sexual beings.
Oh, that's a big, we're all armchair psychologists here, but the fucking Madonna horror complex is like, I think it possesses men so much more than we.
I think if a guy wants all of that like sort of relationshipy, hangouty stuff, but can't have sex with you, it's like, do you need a mom?
Yeah, he barely wanted to fuck, but he literally wanted to hang out like all day, every day. He almost like told me that he loved me. It almost like slipped out. He's like, but I feel like it was like a purposeful. Has anyone ever like oh, I accidentally let that slide. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you wanted something to.
I don't. Wait. Here's the good question. Are you weird about saying I love you? Or are you the?
No,
I'm not. I'm always.
Well, I don't do it first ever.
Oh, I'm always first. But the thing is, I don't. The thing is, I don't give a shit if they. I don't do it with the expectation that they have to say it back.
Ooh, that's very adult. See, I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, I hope they say it because if they don't, every day I'm in a prison cell and I'm like scrolling on the wall.
I think
day
that
526. He still hasn't said I love you.
It freaks people out even more if I'm just like, I love you. Fucking just sit with it. Like I don't need.
You mic drop after? You're like, I love you.
And they're like, wait, no, I was going to say it back. And I'm like, I don't even give a shit.
You go off in your red convertible.
You're like, see, hasta la vista. With
I think it's not a very solid foundation if you say it just, because like love should be given freely. So I'm like.
I think it's cute when it's shaky because they're just kind of like, I love you, is that okay?
I will say the longest, and this is an example, the longest relationship I ever had was like almost 8 years. And the first time I said I love you, we also were friends first for a couple years before we started dating. And I said it before we started dating. I was just like, you know what? I was like, I love you. I do. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah. He goes, that's stupid. And, but like, I already knew him. So I'm like, I get it. You're uncomfortable and you can't say it back. And like, I'm not going to hold it against you. And then it turned into a beautiful thing. So you're covering it with humor, which is your defense mechanism. And I understand. Like, it didn't even need to be said.
Do you feel like you are like I feel like what you're saying is very evolved. And I feel like I could never, I think I have, I'm significantly more self-conscious than that I'd be like, well, they have to love me. And if they don't, I go transatlantic accent. They're like, if you don't love me, God damn it, you're a damn fool.
I mean, that's true though. Like, and this evolution is the result of like a lot of like very specific, like hard work and like looking at my own patterns and behavior and being like throwing up in my own mouth at my own, just some of the shit that I've said to people. Like, just when I've like, I'm not saying that I haven't been in those periods where I've like,
okay, give us an example of like some cringe shit.
What is I?
You can just muster it out when you are in between dry heaves, please.
I think
the listeners can identify with saying some like I want to definitely ask you with some dumb shit you've said.
I'd have to think, but they probably just nightmarish stuff.
I've dated someone that it was clear that he was like not emotionally available. He was one of those like, I'm best friends with my ex, and that's not weird at all.
That's bad.
And and there's it's situational. I know people. I've dated people who are very good friends with their exes. I'm good friends with some of mine. But you just know, like if you're an emotionally intelligent person, it's the vibe, and like maybe it can't be articulated. All this shit. I think I was like, it was clear like the more I asked, the more this person just could not give me anything that I wanted or needed emotionally.
Dodging the questions.
But I still, what did I say? I was like, it was right before I was supposed to do a show in New York. It was like over the phone. And I was like, I just really like, I totally, fucking prostrated myself. And I was like, I'm sorry that I like haven't made you feel like safe to like say how you blah, blah, blah. Or like, I'm not like, I don't understand your relationship. And like, I made assumptions and blah, blah, blah. But like, I really want like a chance. Like, I really want to make this work.
Wow. Why do you think that's so bad? Why are you embarrassed by that?
Because it didn't work. But like ultimately that's like good. And he was just like, I straight up like put my heart out on a platter.
Yes.
And he was like
very much a
and
platter.
he was like, well, sorry for you.
Oh
no.
What a fucking baller.
That is
sorry for you.
Heart-wrenching.
And I'm wearing my sunglasses right now because I feel too vulnerable. But I've lived to tell the tale.
Yeah.
But it's also like,
were you gutted emotionally after that, or did you like be like,
let me just clean my perfectly white dress
I was
off.
like absolutely emotionally gutted, and then like, but it was kind of great because I was just like, I had to do the knitting. What's the Knitting Factory show?
Oh yeah. That's a fun show. I know.
It was a fun show, and I was so like just could not give any of a fuck about anything. So I'm like, I'm just feeling this. And then I like did that show and I had like the fucking best show of my life. And then the next day, like I met up with someone who was also a guy that I was kind of like a friend, but we had kind of vibes. And then we like met up for lunch and I was like, I just got broken up with. And then we ended up having like a 5-hour, not necessarily date, but like really great
fingering
hangout
session.
No, but just like it's people, everything. Sorry, I'm fine now, so I can take this off. Everything that people do is just a way to like avoid pain, but it's like when you do that, you're just drawing it out.
Yeah.
Like how much more drawn out would it have been if I hadn't just like fucking, like
No, that's a
diarrhea'd my heart out, and in a way that was so upfront, he had no choice but to just be like, I can't, like, no.
Well, that was a really good thing that you did, though, too,
Yeah.
because the thing is, like, a lot of people do skirt around because they're like, they'll come around. And the thing is, like, you kind of know, you just know or you don't. And then it's like, he's like, well, yeah, she's like cool. And like, we're having like a cool time, whatever. But if you're like, okay, like, this is what I need, very few people will own up to what they want and need because it takes a huge amount of vulnerability and a fucking big risk. And then there's an opportunity to be rejected. And that is like,
but it was like, it's cleaner. Like you will
so
get
cleaner, you're right.
hurt probably by lots of things at some point. And it's like, do you want to draw it out?
Well, exactly.
And just avoid talking about it?
You're actually just like, you are making the inevitable happen at your rate. You're just being like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I think that then that forces, and it also kind of forces somebody, luckily they weren't like an emotional like manipulator and be like, no, it's good. Like, I know, like, because he could have drawn it out even longer.
Well, he was later because then he just wanted to like keep hanging out or like get back together. And then I was just like, nah, dog. And he was like, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, and it's good because then I said, I'm like, when I was like at my most vulnerable and I came to you and I said, this is what I need, you said, nah. So like, I don't trust you.
Yeah, totally. Trust is broken like very easily.
Let me consult the transcript, And I'm like, says here, nah, dog.
So according to my records, you said nah, dog. So pretty sure.
What's the Maury Povich thing? It's like, you stated in your statement that shit was cool. But when you said nah, dog, at my most vulnerable moment, that showed that was a lie.
Yeah. The lie detector test said that was a lie. So great. I mean, it sounds like
it's not a perfect. I haven't learned that lesson every time, but I think that was a big breakthrough for me. That like, I did get like just full blown rejected, and I lived to tell the tale.
Have you ever done that to somebody, the like shit or get off the pot sort of thing?
No. I've never gotten to that. Explain that more. Like,
if you're just like kind of casually dating somebody,
Yeah.
and you're just like, where is this going? Like, should I say something? Because you know what I do? This is not, I mean, either way, I just like, it's really hard for me to face rejection. And so what I do to mitigate it is that I just bow out. I'm like, you can't fucking dump me if I left. It's like you can't get kicked out of a place if you're like, I'm actually leaving right now. They're like,
ma'am, you can't do that in a Piggly Wiggly.
I'm like, that's funny. I'm actually leaving. So
Don't worry about it. Just like,
yeah, no, I was on my way out, and you're actually kind of like you're actually keeping me to tell me that I'm
Like you're
kicked
fighting
out,
with
but
the-
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
you're fighting with the dude and cut to like smash cut and you just straight up already have your suitcases. You're like, what?
Yeah, I have a bindle. I got like that stick with a little bandana filled with my shit in it.
That's a red flag. If she has a bindle, if she has an old timey hobo bindle, she's emotionally unavailable.
I have my bindle, and I'm like, listen, no hobo, but I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
She's a 10, but she has an old timey hobo bindle.
What do you do?
WYD.
I know I've never had to do the what are we? You don't want to be a guy and doing that. I
No,
feel.
a lot of guys I've gotten that done.
It's a gendered it's a gendered form of labor. I get it. Why can't you be a guy and do it?
Well, I'd never. If I was looking for a relationship, I would probably.
Yeah.
If it got to a certain, but I haven't been, so I've never been like, why would I say that and move this?
You're
to a
like, well, I don't want
relationship?
to.
I've
I'm like,
had
nobody
disruptive-
move. Let's
Nobody.
You know, I'm the fuck.
If everyone just stands like this,
Yeah.
we can have a great relationship and never have to be
Yeah.
I feel like I've definitely got, because I've been a little bit more like wavy in my like, I'm like, I don't know. They're like, hey, so like, are we just being exclusive? I'm like, I don't know, man. Sunglasses. I gotta go, dude. Anyway, they're like, you just got here. I'm like, I'm fucking late for something else. I gotta go.
Roller skate away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't catch me. No, I've been I've dodged like a good amount of times. But that was when I was younger, and like I think I'm much better now at like, especially because I broke somebody's heart like pretty severely years ago. And the repercussions of that, then like my heart was broken, their heart were broken. It was just like it was so messy, and it just like it lasted for so long, and it hurt so bad. And I was like, I'm never gonna do that again, because I think that psychically. Do you really feel like you did something wrong, or it was just like? No, I just was emotionally irresponsible, and so I think, but that is just as culpable. Going back to. If it's intentional or not, you still left the same impact and impression. So like the same result happened. So I think that now I'm like overly communicative, and I'm very like, hey, I just want you to know that I can do this, but this is what I can't do. And like, I want to see, like, we can hang out, we can be romantic, but like, I don't want to just be exclusive, or like, I think of this more casually, or I'm very overly communicative and I think also like as a woman who's like gotten like dicked around by some guys and like been really fucked with, I'm like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that thing that's happened to me, because then I'll be just as bad as them. And this probably even comes out of more hubris and pride, but I'm just like, I don't want somebody to have any shit on me.
Kind of, because then
being like, she's a bitch. They'll be like, she did communicate with me.
Yeah, no, I put myself in that position, because then at least if you put it out there, then you give them a choice. Like, if they stay, this is what they're getting, or they can go. But sometimes people, and I've been this person, not to brag, who, I dated a guy for 2 years who straight up at the beginning was like, I'm, divorced. I don't ever see myself getting married. I'm not really ready for a serious relationship. And I'm like, okay, and we had this like miserable, weird, like,
well, the heart wants what the heart wants.
Tug and pull thing. And it wasn't until I think, we eventually became friends, but we had to like not talk at all for like over a year. And even when we started hanging out again, I was like, I apologize, because it was manipulative. I made him feel like a piece of shit for not giving me what I wanted, when he said right from the beginning, I can't give you what you want.
I've done that. I mean, but people, it's so fucking dangerous. Like, because you can say that. You can be like, listen, XYZ, this is what I can provide, this is what I can't. And they're like, yeah, dude, I'm cool with that. Sounds good.
But then at least it's not on you.
I have just a side question before we get to our next question.
Side piece question?
Yes. Well, you kind of, it sounds like you have dated, a lot of your relationships have happened, they were birthed out of a friendship initially, which I'm curious about only because I have never in my life done that, because I'm very much of like, when you meet me, if you don't fall in love with me in the first 30 seconds of knowing me, no, dude. Then I'm insecure.
Well, I've had it both ways. So it's like, I went on one date with a guy who was a friend.
Yeah.
And now we're not friends anymore. I mean, that just speaks to the strength of the friendship in the first place. I would say more like we were acquaintances. We like saw each other around in the scene. But yeah, my longest relationship was with someone who I was friends with for a couple years. I've had like 3 very long, I haven't even dated a lot, because I was in this relationship for 8 years in my 20s. So I didn't even really start dating until my 30s. And then I was like, how do you use this thing? When I was in my day, you just go down to the watering hole and there was twisting and splashing. Anyway. But I think it's gone both ways, because I think I needed to have it both ways. That was my longest relationship. And it was funny at the time, I was with a guy who had like fucked the whole friend group. And like, I was the last one. You know what I mean? So when he was like when he suddenly decided to change the dynamic and be like, so Christina, and I was like, bip, 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 bip. I refuse to be a statistic. I think, I don't know what it was about like the boundaries or the not wanting to. I know what it was. It did a shit or get off the pot thing. We started just like fucking like you do with your friends. And I just said, at some point I was like, he was very like we're just having fun. Oh, guys love to say we're just having fun. Just having fun. I'm like, okay, we're just having fun. We're just having fun. At some point I said, as we're like buying toilet paper together at Target, but you know, we're just having fun. I was like, you know, Mike's like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, Mike, he's like, are you saying you have feelings for me? And I said, yeah, I think I have feelings for you beyond just friends with benefits. And I know you said you don't want that. So I'm like, I'd rather be able to be, if we're not going to date, I'd rather just be able to be friends with you, which means like, I can't fuck you anymore.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
And he was just like, he said later, he's like, I was so blown away about how like honest you were and without getting like upset or holding it against me. He's like, that just like changed my perception of like what I thought was possible between us. And I'm like, huh. Sometimes you can be so chill about it. Then he's like, wait, maybe should I date this person? Because she's really chill about this boundary I set.
Wow, yeah.
But it's also like, you can't, it's not I didn't do that to manipulate him into dating me. It was just like, this is going to hurt me if I keep doing it. And I'd rather be friends with you, so I'm going to stop.
That takes a lot of emotional responsibility, which a lot of people, they act within their emotions as opposed to like within
And maybe like
logic.
because we were friends, I felt okay saying it, like, which was so weird. I was like 23 when we got together, and I was like so emotionally solid in that relationship. And then I got into some weird ones. And then my next relationship was like, we met at a party, hooked up, and then we were like boyfriend, girlfriend, like lived together 10 days later. Like I went completely the opposite in my next relationship.
Fuck, dude.
So I don't think one is necessarily better than
You've
the
been
other.
on all ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So this 8-year relationship, you did mention before off mic that it was long distance initially, and then so another question is, how do you make a long distance relationship work, because you have had experience in it?
It was
clearly.
It was in the middle of the relationship, and it was because I got into the college that I wanted to get into. We both lived in LA and we lived together, and I wanted to finish school in LA. For some reason, I didn't get into UCLA, but I got into UC Berkeley. Brag. Which was weird. Someone told me, they're like, oh, they want to spread the brown people around. So we had to make a choice because like that was my goal in life. I wanted to finish college really badly, and he was still working and living here. So we just had a conversation about, I want to go finish school, and
How long
can we make this work?
You together prior to it splitting into long distance?
We were together for almost 3 or 4 years when it went long distance. So then it was like, at that point, it was like, I was a transfer student, not that we're second class citizens, but we knew that it was only going to be like a maximum of like 2 or 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. And then we decided to like, just has to have an end date. I think a long distance relationship can be a very long time, but I think there has to be, in the back of both your minds, needs to be the goal that this is temporary, even if it could be for a long time.
Yeah.
So it was once after I graduated, then we like moved back. I just moved back to LA and we moved back in together.
Do you think you could do a long distance relationship?
No, probably not. Just because I feel like I could still be connected to the person. It would just be doing I feel like you text and call far more in a long distance relationship rather than which I just couldn't manage. That's my least favorite part about doing any sort of dating is the fucking texting.
Oh, well, I think
how was your day?
Oh, you know what the
that
big one?
shit.
I don't like being connected via text all the time. We didn't do that. I think a big part of it is like, it almost feels worse when you're in a long distance relationship and you're in constant like half-assed texty contact.
Yeah, fuck that.
It feels like, and then there's the space between. We were monogamous too the whole time. The space between which you can actually fuck is too long. So we had like weekly like Skype phone agreements, and it was almost just more special. And also, I was in fucking school. I think I was also I couldn't even think about dating. I was like very busy. I was actually like glad to be in a relationship that wasn't taking up so much of my time, that I could focus on school. But I also am like, I'm not even going to think about or worry about dating other people. We both did have we both met people and we're kind of like, am I in love with this person? And then we had to like talk it out.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I think it's weirder. It's like, I met my partner like long distance already. Like it's just like, so it didn't even, and I was like, I'm not gonna fucking date this guy. He lives in LA. I live in New York. Like, I don't give a fuck about this. And then it's just like every time we hang out.
love story.
Yeah, and then I was like, I don't know, okay, maybe. And then I was like, all right. And then it just like kept escalating. And then he's like, how about I come visit you? And I was like, okay. And then he was like, I'm in love with you. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, and like, you're the love of my life, and I want to marry you and have kids with you. And I was
you're
like,
over here going,
yeah, and I was like, this is sick. And then he's like, and I want to move to New York. And I was like, oh, okay. So there was just like, this is what it all like just kind of came together. I mean, that's the thing too. I've always, that's a fucking crazy thing. I've always been like, fuck long distance relationships. They never work, period. I've always just been like, nope.
They're tight if you have. They're tight if you have goals in life. Like he has a career and stuff going. Like if your only goal is to be in a relationship, long distance relationship is hard.
That's so true, dude. But then like sometimes you just meet somebody and then like the logistics like your feelings for them supersede the logistics.
Yeah.
That you're like, well, I can't not be with this person. It's like that fucking. It's like some line in some cheesy ass movie, but it's something about how like. Men are more romantic than women actually because a man's nature is to not be romantic. That when a man settles down with a woman, he's like actually going against the grain of his own like biology and instincts because he meets a girl that's like, well, I'd be a fool if I let this go. Like I can't not be with this person. So I think men are like a little bit more romantic. You gonna dry heave again?
I've been just some real fancy boys. Like, you know, I was with this guy who would like read me poetry while I took a bath and like just say the most.
Liam,
look at you. I mean, but that's, you can't. If
Get it together, brother.
What kind of poetry? His own poetry?
No. Like, you know, we would like pick something different night. He'd be like, tonight it's Ann Carson or you know, cool stuff.
A girl made me read. She said, didn't make me. I just picked up a notebook. She was like, oh yeah, that's my poetry. And she said, read one of them. And I opened it up and stared at the page long enough so it looked like I read it, and I read nothing. I was like, I'm not reading.
Also, that's
you know
not
what it was? Because you were afraid that if you read it, you were going to be unattracted to her. That's what I think. I think if you're like, if I read this, I might not want to fuck her. So if I just stare in the margin, then I won't even have to absorb this.
Which is poetry in itself. I mean, you say that you're not into performance art, but that is kind of a beautiful, that's a beautiful piece. Beautiful. Talk about durational performance art. I'm going to stare in the margins of this page until such time as...
Did you make your eyes move? Like you were...
Mm-hmm.
Let's see your fake read right now.
Okay, but pretend you're into the poem. Pretend the poem is moving. Mouthing the words. Always like a guy who mouths the words while he reads. That's how you know he's all there.
You read something powerful.
This is wow.
Your read acting is phenomenal.
What a sensitive and prophetic acting performance.
Wow. Yeah.
But I've dated dudes who, when I tell my guy friends the stuff that my lover says to me, they're like, "Who the fuck talks like that?" And I'm like, just, you know, sensitive guys.
I mean, I used to be into more. Well, that's the thing. I thought sensitive guys means he makes art. And then I was just like kind of dating musicians, and then I was like, wait, he's a piece of shit. And then I was like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the art that they make or don't make.
I feel like actually like kind of like bro-y guys are usually like kind of bro-y masculine guys are usually like less problematic because it's like all out there and they're just like there's no surreptitiousness. There's like no like I'm actually this. There's no like curtain behind, like there's no Oz behind the curtain sort of thing. They're very like on the surface. It's very what you see is what you get. This is like a classic like kind of trope, stereotypical man. I feel like is just like, this is what I am. It's not like necessarily like they're shallow, but you could see it all there. Whereas like a man is like, I don't know, like I'm just like fucked by my emotions and like, I don't know, I'm so mysterious and like I make,
oh my god, I'm getting wet.
I'm elusive, but like, do I even like me? I don't even know.
Let me be your sexy mommy. I love your work so much. Let's set up a studio visit.
Yeah, I realized someone asked me recently. This guy. Someone's who's texting me right now.
Oh.
Nice.
But it was interesting. I found that he was asking me just like really straightforward questions about like what I'm into. He's like, who's your type? Like, why did your last relationship end? Like, what did you learn? And I'm like, am I being fucking interviewed? And I was like, oh, maybe that's okay. But he was like, would you date an artist or not? Or like, do you prefer to date non-comedians or non-artists? And I was like, that kind of doesn't matter. All the shit that comes up when people say they don't want to date another artist or comedian because like, oh, it's competitive or they get resentful or they don't want you to succeed. I'm like, it is just everything. I just want to date someone who's, for the most part, like happy and secure with themselves. Because that sort of overwrites, I found I've dated artists and non-artists. I haven't dated a comedian yet. That overwrites any of that other stuff about like, oh, they get weird about work or their creativity. It's like, whether they're a artist or not doesn't matter to me. The deeper thing is just like someone who just can deal with themselves. That's what I want.
Do you find like, excuse me, do you find that you want to date somebody who...
Do you want to date a manic pixie dream girl?
Yeah.
I
want a witch.
It's great.
You do.
Great.
Oh, you're in the right place. You're in LA.
I want a big titty goth girlfriend.
Oh yeah, dude.
I want her to look terrifying.
Amber Nelson has a great joke about how all Wiccans have big titties, but not all big tittied women are Wiccans. But it's like they all have like jugs.
No, my goal right now is just to get a goth girl that's super into astrology and is just a lunatic.
Not true.
Are you joking?
No.
You jerking my ass?
I'm not gonna. For just a month. And then
okay, for a month.
And it's gonna end horribly for both of us. We're gonna end up. She's
gonna light like a pair of socks of yours on fire and do a spell.
I'm gonna come in and she's just gonna be burning my laptop.
It's not like there's there's deeply crazy and then there's like fun crazy. The last guy I was dating somewhat seriously, he this is a while ago because like I said, I'm on a healing journey or some shit. We like woke up together. I wanted to have sex in the morning and he didn't. So like I just like left in a huff.
Yeah.
And I went to the coffee shop and and literally as I was like looking at plane tickets to Mexico, then he texted me and he's like, hey, can I come meet you for coffee? He's like, sorry, I didn't want to have sex, but like, I love you. And I was like, okay. He's like, were you looking at plane tickets to Mexico? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you scare me. And I was like, yeah, but that's like the fun kind. I'm like, I'm not going to ruin just, you don't want to have sex. So I go to Mexico for a week. Like, I don't think that's bad crazy. That's fun crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are guys, I feel like a lot of guys are morning sex adverse.
Is it because the lights are on?
I don't
God's
know.
light?
I don't know.
The sun?
I've had it explained to me that like guys like as women, because we're witches, we get energy when we fuck, and men like kind of like deplete
Oh,
energy
this
when they
is true.
fuck.
Like after I fuck, I'm like, I gotta go work on my novel.
Yeah.
And the dude's just like,
Yeah. They're like, it's hard. They're like, I just woke up and then I gotta exert all this energy.
like their novel is like on my stomach now.
Well, I think getting rejected if you propose morning sex is one of the toughest things ever.
Because then you have to like get up and start your day.
Yeah, that happened. It fucked up my whole day.
That's what I mean. Go to Mexico.
I was like, do you want to hook up again? She was like, no. And I was like, so you're like, you have a busy day? She was like, no, I just don't want to see you naked again. I was like, okay. And then I was like, the rest of the day, I was like, I fucking suck, dude. Fucked up my whole day.
It was
That's
a
why-
one night stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just wasn't like, I mean, that's almost
But
like.
I loved her. I was in love with her.
No, you weren't.
No.
But
She was just hot. You
yeah,
fucked her.
she was hot.
There you go. Did
Yeah.
you ever see her again?
No. Now I'm just trying to find a girl that just yells things at every full moon. Just goes outside with beads in each hands and just speaks in tongues at the moon.
I'm
That's what
gonna
I'm looking
You
for.
be like
empties her diva cup into the vinaigrette and serves it over a salad.
Oh
for
my
dinner.
god! How
don't know
long
what
would
that
you?
You don't know what a diva cup is? Is that what you said?
Yeah, what's a diva cup?
Instead of tampons, women like put basically a rubber shot glass inside of themselves to collect their blood.
And then you just dump it out at the end of the day.
Is that real?
Yeah,
dude.
I've made the switch and it's changed my life. And it's I mean if it works, it works. It's
But then
like
you get some
magic.
weird dude. I had to read a Facebook post years ago of this girl that I was like, you ever read something you're like, I can't be friends with this person anymore.
Yeah.
She literally was like menstrual blood has so many healing properties.
Oh, no.
And literally
no,
she would collect her period blood and then put it in the plants around her house. And then her roommate's so fucking funny. Her roommate comments on this post and is like, hey, haha, LOL. Is this a joke? And she's like, no. And it's like, oh, you could have
told me that you were free bleeding.
Just putting it in the communal plants.
The healing properties is that you just dump it in the toilet. I'm not gonna lie.
So women fucking put it on their face they put menstrual blood on their face.
I have seen that on Facebook, and then another thing I saw a lady make period blood pancakes. I don't know fucking how.
Why?
Or why?
It's literally waste. This is literally this is fucking bodily waste.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't, but I would put my period blood on a plant. It's got vitamins.
No, see, I think it would just smell like fucking gross. You know when like a tampon, like a used tampon, you pull it out of your like, this smells a little rank.
Put my used.
So why would you want? You know what I mean? Like they smell rank. Like why would you? Put it in the garbage.
Used tampons like garden stakes. You're like, here you go, baby.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Wait! Speaking of which, I don't even know if this was the worst date or just a weird date. I was during lockdown, like 2020, when people were just like desperately horny and we're like, strangers were meeting on Hinge and we're like, we are fucking. I don't care if we die. Kind of thing.
Fuck it.
I met a dude who came over like first thing on the app. We matched, and he was like, I want to bring you a chicken tonight, and I said, okay. And he brought over like
not like a live one. He's like, and then he just slaughters.
He's
it in
a
front
roast
of you.
chicken. He's like, he said, fellas, if you're looking for an opener, try. I want to bring you a roasted chicken tonight.
I'll actually try that.
Yeah,
that actually is kind of
no. It was
I'll
hot.
Send that right.
He went
now.
to
Let's see how.
And send it right now.
So like he shows up with a huge spread from Kismet.
What?
Yeah, big med.
Expensive.
Yeah, nice spread. So he earned it. And then we had sex, and I was on my period, and he I was heavily on my period, and he was like drawing on my body with my own period blood.
He's a murderer.
Nah.
Let me bring you a dead pheasant and then dabble in your period blood.
It was actually lovely. Like we met a few times, and then that was it. And
sounds nice.
He's a therapist. I got ghosted by a therapist. So just so you know, no one is safe.
No, every therapist, my theory, and I think this is well trod upon, but like everybody who is a psychologist or therapist is themselves really fucked up. That's why they go into that field to be like, maybe I can heal myself. That's like truly, that's almost always the case.
Yeah.
And every therapist usually has a therapist, and they usually come from a place like people that like go to school for psychology. It's not like they're like, well, I'm perfectly healthy. You invest in what you're interested in, you know?
Some people do. I know a couple of like really awesome, healthy people who are studying to be therapists. And I'm like, great, they need you. I just thought that was it felt like sort of like performatively, like this guy really wanted to let me know he's okay with period blood. And I'm like, you don't have to.
I've never met, maybe, did she say?
She said, I don't know what that means, but thanks.
Say, okay, what did you say? It was Liam messaged a girl on Hinge and said, I want to bring you a roast chicken.
Well, she said, she just revealed that she lives in Colorado, which I don't know how we
long distance. Wow, this relationship.
Well, you got to go to DHL.
I think during our episodes, you should be live talking to girls on Hinge.
Wait,
and then implementing. Let me see.
She doesn't even know.
I will send you a roast chicken. I don't know what that means, but thanks.
People, I don't like how. Like, what do you mean you don't know what that means? I just fucking said I'm going to send you a roast chicken.
What do you mean you don't know what that means?
Well,
no,
don't
don't say the F word.
Girl.
Just say literally, just say there's no subtext. I want to send you a roast chicken. I think people are, online dating was weird for me because everyone just is trying so hard to be clever as an opener. It's really hard to just be forthright and not have them say, what? I don't get it.
Or they think I'm like too, like I was on this like online dating, like I'll just be like, cause I'm not like goofy on it. Like I'm not goofy. Like if a guy's kind of goofy to me, I'm like, all right, I'll be like a little goofy back. But then sometimes they'll just get like pretty like, hey, like what do you think about this? And I'm just like very straight and narrow. Like I'm not like, whoa.
Oh, do you find that? Yeah. Do you find that guys expect you to be like super jazzy and funny because like you're a comedian?
Yes.
I actually to me, it's fucking exhausting. And when a guy is trying to like just be flirt by being funny, it makes my boner suck back up into my body. Like, I think it's.
Well, people that aren't funny trying to be funny, that should be illegal.
Yeah, it should be against the law.
One of the worst things.
What did she say?
So, okay, again, Liam is going to say to this girl, there's no subtext. What's your address? I have a surplus of roast chickens. You can't ask her address. No, She's going to fucking you clearly don't care because she lives in Colorado. So you're not going to talk to her.
Oh,
so
you just I think you should, I don't know.
You can literally like fucking send her something in Hebrew. It doesn't even matter at this point. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Let's leave her alone.
Yeah, leave her alone. She's, how dare you?
Guys be talking Hebrew on the apps.
You know
me, dude.
Well, okay, I have another question because I actually struggle with this a lot because I'm a woman. How do I know when I'm overreacting?
How do you know, or I know.
How does one know? Because this is okay. How do you personally know when you're overreacting?
Because I act like a little girl and I'm a fucking adult. So when I'm like, I have to catch it when it's on the horizon. If I'm feeling just a little bit like, it's this total struggle between my inner child and like my fucking higher adult grown ass self. For me, it's like, it's sulking. Like I used to be crazy. I used to get very emotional and like cry, like as a form of protest. And now it's like, I know I'm being immature, overacting when it's just sulky. Or just when I know that I'm like feeling something that is not appropriate to the level of this conversation. Like, when I was like, hey, I'm putting my heart out here and I would really love to make this relationship work. And the guy's like, no. And I'm devastated for a few days. That's not overreacting.
No, that's very normal.
When I'm like, apropos of nothing, if I text somebody that I'm seeing and we don't have plans and I'm just like, hey, like, are you free tonight? And they say no. And I'm like, that's overreacting. I just know that, like.
When did you decide, how did you kind of like, it sounds like you're establishing the difference between the two, but how, was it a choice that you made that you're like, I decided I'm going to like not overreact? Or
it was more of an exploration of like, what am I actually upset about and what am I actually reacting to when I'm overreacting? And it's never like, this person's, minor slight against me is setting me off. It's like, this person's minor slight is reminding me of some major slight in my past, and I'm actually not even reacting to this. I'm reacting to that.
So your advice would probably just be to like, when you are overreacting, to actually go deeper into it.
Yeah.
And explore it more.
Actually just the more you try to suppress it, like don't do it all over that person, but like, you can call. I used to get really offended when people would like call timeout or just be like, they need to walk away from a conversation. That felt like you're flaking or you're abandoning me. And then I learned, and then I would have these really explosive, like emotional arguments all the time. And then when I finally learned to not take that personally, I was like, oh, you know what? I need a fucking minute to go overreact by myself over here. You know what I mean?
I'm very overreactionary, but I kind of like, I just am like, I'm so sensitive that everything like bothers me. Yeah. I get really offended easily. I get, especially not by friends, not in normal situations, not by like, sometimes I guess it happens with work, but I'm professional, but I'll be like, they fucking hate me. Like in my brain, I like
cry in the bathroom, girl, wash your face in the bathroom.
Oh yeah. I like all that crazy shit where I just like will convince myself like, it's like human beings in general trend negatively. It's a sad reality of like what we do cognitively. And we also like cognitive distortion is a real thing that I fucking suffer from, where let's say the facts are this, and then I'm like, well, it's probably this, which is like so far and away from like what the actuality is.
Also another shitty or great catch 22 of like emotional development is like, I just don't like shame myself or get upset over being upset. Right?
Well, then you're double upset.
Right, because then you're just double upset. And if I'm just like upset, even if it's embarrassing because that person thinks I'm overreacting, or I just feel like I shouldn't feel this way, like the more I just let myself feel it, the quicker it goes away, or it's less intense anyway. And I would say that's such an interesting question, because I would say if you're worried about am I overreacting, that's just worrying about someone else's perception of your feelings.
Well, but that's real though, because like, what if like, I don't know, like I kind of understand it of like, okay, how do I know when I'm overreacting? Like, let's say my boyfriend does something and I'm like, well, that fucking pisses me off, and I express that, and they're like, you're over, and then it's like, oh wait, am I being a little too much here? Like, am I giving them a little too much here?
There's a really, God, where is this? It's just one of those like Instagram therapist slogans that is out in the ether. It's so corny, but it's kind of true. And they think if it's hysterical, it's historical. Meaning like if it just is intense, it means that something is activated it doesn't have anything to do with
Oh, that's actually really good. I know that's Instagrammy, but that
yeah. And someone else said that like you shouldn't feel urgency about anything. If you feel like an urgent need to like talk back or justify yourself or like text someone or reach out to someone, anything that feels urgent means that it's probably just some like childhood trauma shit that you're reacting to, and it's not. It's like in real life, like nothing is really urgent.
What if you have so much past trauma, like childhood trauma, that it colors your reality so much that it's like
you can learn to undo that.
It's so fucking hard. I have like and the more you enter into things, it's like how like sometimes I think that like when you're an island and you actually don't explore like things kind of like within the deep recesses of your past and who you are, you can kind of be like do 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 do. But then when you're like, you know what, I kind of feel as though this is coming out in like a pernicious ways and like little things, and like how I can't like fully like, you know, be vulnerable with this. You know, maybe I should investigate a little bit more. And then what happens is that you go in to it, and then you're like, oh fuck, and it's actually gets
There's
worse.
so much.
Yeah, it gets worse before it gets better. I think.
It does. It's like acne medication. It's like, you know, it's like using retinol. It definitely gets worse before it gets better, but it gets so much better. I mean, I've had like, look, my childhood was not kick ass, but like, it is kind of. There's no magic formula either, but it is kind of magic. All you do, just being aware of it, kind of like makes all of it go away, gives it so much less power.
It's almost harder though, like when you're in a relationship and you're kind of going through like understanding and exploring yourself, because then shit does come up, and then like I get reactionary, or like something will just like trigger me and I'm like upset about something, and then I have to be like, and maybe I'll be flippant or I'll snap or I'll say something kind of mean. Yeah. And then I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like that was coming from this place. Cause like, I think that in the past this used to happen, and I've always wanted to like really push that part of myself away. And whenever I feel it getting closer, I get very upset. And,
but it's part of it is being with someone who's emotionally mature too. Cause I've been in both positions where, if I'm overreacting and then the other person takes it personally and they're overreacting, then we're just like having craziness up here and we're not even actually arguing about whatever the issue is. But I've dated people who very lovingly, if I'm like, get shit up front, you know, they're kind of like, instead of getting mad, they get confused and they're like, what is this actually about? And I'm like, oh shit.
yeah.
Let me get back to you. And then it's nice because then I've learned that to do that with other people, because I don't know if you know this, Liam, but like men be angry.
Yeah.
And like the most disarming thing you can do, especially because sometimes when people don't know why they're angry, they just want you to match their energy and like have all this craziness out. When someone's mad and you're not matching their energy, you're not also taking it personally, but just let them go for a little bit and then ask, what's this really about?
Yeah.
It's like a magic potion. They're just like, if they're have a modicum of like self-control, then it kind of really puts a pause on the whole situation, and they're like, and they turn into that emoji.
Well, it's actually like it's also like a healthier way to like, because it's not even just being like, oh, what is this about? It's like being like,
oh yeah,
I'll let you get it out. Yeah, the tone is important.
You definitely can't go in there De Niro style. What is this about?
I would be like, what is this about?
Yeah. Okay. What are some bad ways to say what is this about? What is this about?
Like, okay, what is this about?
Yeah. What is all this about? That's not
Just terrified.
Wait, do you feel like, you've overreacted sometimes?
I don't overreact. I overreact by underreacting. In everyday life, I overreact all the fucking time.
What do you mean?
I just, a fucking another comedian says something about your set or something. I'm like, I'll fuck this guy for it. Like,
but inside you.
So
say
when
that.
someone insults your comedy, you want to have sex with them.
yeah. I'm gonna hold this guy down.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold this guy down.
I mean, with the girl, if I feel disrespected or I'm upset about something, I'll just be like, I'm gone. You're not gonna hear from me. That's
You just leave the situation.
Or if I'm gonna stay, I'm like, yeah, I don't care. It's all right. And then they.
But is that a way of you pushing it down?
Yeah.
Is it really okay? Or are you just like, are you
It's just-
storing it down for your heart attack at age 47?
Yeah, it could happen. There's no way I'm getting back to you. I don't know. I think I haven't thought about that in depth.
Liam, it goes somewhere.
Well, I'll deal with it eventually by myself. I'm just not gonna.
If that's a very powerful thing. If you can like just shelve it, but just don't shelve it forever.
Because I think sometimes, if you're in a relationship, someone, whatever the argument is, they bring it up, they're upset, and I just go, yeah, it's okay.
That's kind of better.
And then it fucks with them more because they're like, oh, he doesn't give a shit, but I do, and I'll just go handle it.
Oh, that's it's the thing I had to deal with. I was like that in my 20s, just that it's very emotionally mature to assume that if someone's not reacting, or like I said, I'm coming in hot, and if they're not reacting at the same level of energy or anger or upset, that means they don't care. I had someone tell me, which is also, it's good to just like be up front. I dated this dude briefly, and he was so chill. He had to literally tell me, he's like, hey, by the way, it's like, thanks. We had some talk about some misunderstanding. And he was like, I know it seems like I have a very like low key demeanor, and sometimes people have misinterpreted that like I don't care. He was like, I care a lot. I'm just not very demonstrative in my emotions. So just so you know, if it ever seems like I'm being flippant or dismissive, it's like, this is just my manner.
What a sweetheart. That's
that
really
is
nice.
Great.
This is the sweetest
It was
guy ever.
self-aware.
I want to give that guy a hug. I don't even know. That was nice.
It was, and I was like, oh yeah, it's like dating like a big stoned bear. It was just like, and I've had another, like my long relationship dude was like, he's like, I'm not complicated. He's like, I'm very simple. It's like, I'm not gonna, if I tell you this, like, there's really nothing behind it. Like, I'm not playing a game.
Well, that's what's so nice actually about like dating men is that like it does feel like you don't need a decoder ring to be like, what do they mean by that? Because I'll do shit where I'm like, it's fine. No, it doesn't really bother me, but it's just like weird that you would say that. And then they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, it's just like, I mean, everyone's different, I guess. And then they're like, oh, and then that's when I know I'm like, wow, I am being so shitty right now. I
love it's what's shitty is that that stuff is definitely gendered and it's maybe socially informed, but then when you try to just correct it, I find that people, and men in particular, have been really disarmed when I do the whole like, hey, especially like as a cis woman, men get so weirded out if I just say what I want or that I don't like something, but I'm not mad.
yeah.
Like if I say, oh, hey, that really sucked and I don't like when you did that.
Oh, that's the move, yeah.
But I'm not losing my temper. They're very disarmed by it because then they can't tell me that I'm overreacting. They can't tell me to calm down. They have to deal with.
Take what you said at face value.
Yeah, they have to just deal with what I said.
That's the funny thing is that like I can do that like actually, but because that's like, okay, if the other person's actually doing something that I'm like, hey, can you not like say that because it kind of upsets me and everything, and they're like, oh, okay, and I'm like, cool, yeah, just like this kind, I appreciate it. I could be super normal with that, but what it is, it's almost what you're talking about before, the whole fucking like hysterical is historical. Something will happen that's like not that bad. Like I can't even really get mad at them about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, I can't even get mad about this, but it bothers me so fucking much that then that's when I kind of get a little shitty. Then I'm like, well, this is clearly coming from something, but I'll just be like, I get so, and then it just,
maybe
I've never been passive aggressive in my life.
Maybe that's how you know you're overreacting when when you can't put something at face value and it's that, even though it's not like a loud, or I think about that too, because like I've learned to control my emotions by not being like super demonstrative or out of control. I save it for the stage, but I know that, yeah, that kind of passive aggression can be a form of overreacting because it means that you're not
totally
comfortable
is.
just dealing with the thing.
Well, you're also not even exercising. Then you actually just feel shittier because you're like, I'm shitty because I'm being shitty. I'm clearly in the wrong because of my behavior. It didn't solve the thing I'm doing. It actually is making me further away from this person and driving further a wedge between us. When somebody's passive aggressive to you, do you ever want to extend an olive branch to them? No. Do you ever want to be like, hey, you seem like, let me just like do. No, you never want to like.
I've like lost friendships because I straight up told someone, I was like, I feel like you're being passive aggressive. Is there something we need to talk about? And then never heard from them again. That's
such a bold, good thing to say. But some people like these fucking people out here, dude. They can't deal with their own shit. And when somebody shows them their own shit, they're like, I gotta go.
I'm like, look at the poo poo. Look at it. You look at that poo poo. That's the fun. This is like a Hodorowski kind of like essential thing. If you can look at your poo poo, then you get into the VIP section of Tenants of the Trees.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Look at it. And then, sorry, I was gonna just straight up just look at it. What if I pulled my shirt down and there was just two piles of shit? Sorry. You got to be comfortable with the, yeah, it's gross and it's not good, but it's like that's the passive aggressive thing too. It's like I've put a lot of like very real effort into looking at my own shit. Look at the poo-poo. That's what you do when you go to therapy. They just say, look at the poo-poo.
I know. That's true, dude.
But
they're like, I don't want to, dude. But it was in my body before. I think it belongs.
I just want to keep it here. But part of that is also
I want to be constipated still.
Learning that like I can't make anyone else do it. I can't make anyone else want to be better or less angry or more immature. So it's like, you put the poo-poo on the table and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I can't not be attached, and I can't expect or manipulate someone into having the reaction that I want them to have.
That's very wise. I feel like that's very smart.
It gets better with practice.
I feel like with that, I think, do you have any questions for us? Liam, do you feel like you were in a lecture, a women's lecture, a women's
I learned a
study
lot.
lecture?
That was one of those ones where I was like, I don't have much to contribute, but I am definitely
Good,
taking
you don't.
Yeah.
Sorry. I feel a little bit like a greased hog. The AC is broken.
Yeah, we've been here for an hour 15. It's tough.
I do have a Dom DeLuise sort of like film of sweat on me.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
dripping, and I'm
I
like,
look like Ernest Borgnine.
put the hair up and the down, and then I'm a feminist. I had someone ask me on that like that anonymous Instagram asking thing. Someone was like, I love your armpit hair. What made you decide to like do such a statement? And I was like, I don't think of it as like political.
It's like they acted like you did it, like you grew it, like you put a hair
I didn't
treatment
do it on
to grow.
purpose. It's actually just I didn't feel like shaving anymore, and the guy I was dating at the time was like, "Oh yeah, I don't mind."
But I don't have any armpit hair because I think it's
free
uncomfortable.
and wild as the rainforest. But I'm not so attached to my own body hair as a political statement that I won't. I really just don't care either way. And I was with someone, the last sort of relationship I had that was a little bit long term. Dude was like, asked if I would shave my armpits, and he was like sweating. He thought I would get so offended, and I was just like, oh sure. Like especially if I'm monogamous and I'm with someone that happens to have a stronger body hair preference than I do, I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not so attached to my own pussy hair that like it's like, no, you will not take this.
Sophie's choice. You're like,
These are my children. These are my kids.
And obviously everyone's different, and some dudes are like way into it. They're like bigger, more, pay, like put more on.
Yeah, some guys want a bush, and then you're just like, all right, I don't really. Whatever's gonna like make my pussy get eaten the most is what I do.
My default.
That's pretty much
my default is free and easy, but once you lock it down, it is dealer's choice. I will do whatever you want with my body. I don't like. It's true. It doesn't. I have a real politics. Okay. You can tell me to grow a mustache. I'll do it.
Yeah, you're like, fine, I'll work on it.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
Christina, where can they find you? And what do you have anything to plug?
A few. I am on Instagram, xtina_Catherine with a C. I've been working on writing stuff lately, so I'm not performing as much, but I don't know when this episode's coming out, but like
probably in a few months, TBH.
Okay, great. So make this be a good time. In November 10th or 11th, I'm doing Aesthetical Relations, the talk show.
Incredible.
That I actually started at Nina's Space in downtown.
A long time ago.
It is now graduated. I'm doing it at the Red Cat Theater in downtown, which is behind Walt Disney Concert Hall.
Incredible.
Yeah. So
congratulations.
It'll be like one night only, but it's going to be an incredible, crazy ass late night style talk show in an arty theater. Bunch of weird
in a huge theater in downtown LA. That's amazing.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you. You're very smart. You're very
so much for
cool.
coming on.
And we're
Yeah.
Thank
all
you for
very
having
sweaty.
me.
Okay.
We're all sweaty.
Love you guys. Bye.
Later.
Oh.